All right then. One, two, three. Hi, my name is Nishant Mittal.
And I'm Sarthak Bhardwaj. Welcome back to another episode of I Read This Book. I think it's the 11th episode.
11th, very auspicious.
Very auspicious indeed. And today I'm really very excited to talk about SK Munjal's The Making of Hero. Hero as a company has had a lot of influence on me as a child growing up. A lot of happy memories associated with it. I still own a bicycle by Hero. So what's this book all about?
This book is the story of Hero, the company, and the country. As it says, it begins with four brothers, two wheels, and a revolution that shaped India.
Wow.
So it might sound aggrandizing, but it's not, because when you read the book, you find out that how entrepreneurs actually end up shaping the society and, in fact, the country in ways that you can't imagine. So it's beautiful. It's
That's really nice. But how did Hero come into being? I suppose the Munjal brothers were initially based out of Pakistan and then had to relocate to India. So what's that story?
So these were four brothers born in not a privileged family. They were born very hand to mouth, and the brothers did a lot of odd jobs to support themselves. Finally, Mr. Bridgemohan, late Sir Bridgemohan Lal Munjal, got a job in some, you know, uh, British workplace. So that was a good thing. And then
in England.
in Pakistan,
Oh, okay.
and he was working in a factory in
Oh, okay,
Afghanistan.
okay.
So
Oh, alright.
from there, he learned the ropes of a factory, and then they started in the bicycle trade, a small shop where they were repairing bicycles and so on. From a
Wow.
repair shop, they started making components. From a components shop, they started making bicycles. So they had a very comfortable live. I mean, they reached a level where they could live comfortably in Pakistan, and then the partition happened. But these guys had the foresight that partition is going to happen, and so two of them, or two of the four brothers, went to Amritsar to settle themselves. That's called foresight.
Wow, that's business acumen.
That's business, by the way. And they tried to settle themselves. So just before the partition, one of the brothers was renovating the house that these guys,
Oh,
and he had to leave the house. It was sad. So
unfortunate.
even though they had the foresight to navigate through the partition, it caught them off guard, as partition did to a lot of families. So they had to effectively start from scratch. The three brothers were in the bicycle trade, and Mr. Brijmohan Lal Munjal went to Mumbai to start his own thing, and he did well. He made good, and then he got cheated by his partner, as written in the book. So he was totally robbed of the money. He went and joined all his brothers back in Amritsar. And that's when the hero story effectively began.
wow.
When the brothers started doing. So at that time, there used to be quota system before during the British era. Parts used to be coming from Europe in a sanctioned way. And then, if 2000 tires are coming, you can only make 1,000 bicycles, right? Because they're being divided. So you're gonna get 10,000 parts. The country's gonna get 10,000 parts. 2,000 gonna go to these guys. 2,000 are gonna go to these guys, and so on. And to break free from that quota system, what Munjals did was they encouraged the craftsmen around them, the metal
Wow.
workers and so on, and they asked them to make the bicycle parts.
Perhaps that's why the back cover of the book reads a true make in India story.
It's make in India from the from bottoms up. When you are asking your friends who are masters at their own craft, because craftsmen, somebody's making the hub of the bicycle, somebody's making the spokes, somebody's making the chassis, somebody's making, so everything is being made with your friends around you, and then they're all coming together, and finally assembling the bicycle, calling it hero, and selling it to customers.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable coordination amongst people, amongst the
Absolutely.
entire community.
Absolutely. So from there, many years later, they roped in Honda in a partnership and they made motorcycles with them. So what's that story about?
So they were doing, it's a story of unfettered ambition, actually, effectively, because you can be content in being the largest manufacturer of bicycles in the world. but some people are just not content, So Mr. Brijmohan Lal Munjal saw that, okay, we have bicycles, we have got that corner covered. What do we do next? How is the Indian commuter going to travel next? He saw that it's going to be from bicycles, it's going to come to mopeds. So we ought to make mopeds, From mopeds, we ought to make scooters. And that's when they were trying to tie up with foreign partners. They tried to bring them on board to make scooters. So without knowing how to talk in English, these were the guys who got learned business from the streets. So they weren't formally educated, they weren't academically sophisticated, but still they managed to talk to Honda, and Honda had a very rigorous system of choosing companies.
Sure they did.
From 20 companies they got down to 2, Firodia Group and Hero Munjals. So they went with Firodia for the scooties. You remember there's a kinetic Honda scooty which used to be there. And for motorcycles, they went with Honda.
Oh.
And
What did they
Hero.
know about motorcycles?
So they didn't know how to make motorcycles till then, because they were effectively a moped manufacturing company and a cycle manufacturing company. But they said like, "Ab kar lete hain." And they ended up with that spirit. They started the motorcycle thing, and since then it's just grown. It's still growing. The Hero phenomena is not stagnant. So the most beautiful part is that Hero family, the Munjal family, has amicably split its business before it got ugly. So the founding fathers have left the business in a way that it's so neatly tied yet adequately independent.
Wow.
Which is beautiful, because
That's beautiful.
Reliance, you remember, was a family, and the brothers were fighting on the street.
Sure.
Singhanias were a great family, JK, and they ended up splitting very, very ugly. And a lot of great families of this country, business families who have done a lot of good work, have not survived because the transition is so hard. But Munjals have navigated with that as well.
That's true. That's very beautiful. Another interesting point, I think, when we read the story of the Munjal brothers, is that it is not a story merely about them, but it is also a story about India. Like you mentioned initially, you look at the development of India from partition to independence, socialism, and then subsequent opening of its economy to attract foreign investments, and so on and so forth. And you look at all this from the prism of entrepreneurs.
Of guys who are just trying to make and sell bicycles.
That's
Seriously,
beautiful.
that's so beautiful, because these are guys who are just trying to make an honest buck.
True.
They're trying to do a good job. They're trying to make a good bicycle which helps people travel. and that's the spirit of entrepreneurship. In that journey, they're inspiring so many people to work with them. They're inspiring so many micro entrepreneurs, the guys who are supplying parts. They're all millionaires now. Jalandhar, Chandigarh, Amritsar is a town. They are towns of millionaires. People are rich. Why?
Yeah.
Because they've all been a part of the manufacturing revolution that shaped the country. And even now, the entrepreneurial spirit of the area is felt, because you see Sachin Bansal, Binny Bansal from Chandigarh, Bhavish Agrawal and Ankit Bhati from Punjab, Dipinder Goyal, Pankaj Chadda, again, all these guys have, this generation is still growing. That's the impact of somebody doing a good job.
That's beautiful. But while I was reading your textual review, which we post on various social media platforms, I understood that you have some problems with the publishers and how the book is essentially written.
So I don't have a problem with how the book has been written, but I do have a problem with how the book has been edited.
Oh.
It's a very shoddy job that has happened. It's you find a lot of grammatical errors and far too many to ignore. I feel that a great effort of Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal has been let down by publishers, and I hope that they correct it in next edition, even though this edition itself has been circulated in tens of thousands. I feel bad for SK Munjal.
I mean, that's unfortunate. You wouldn't expect a big publishing house like HarperCollins to do this, right? I mean, I haven't read the book, but I'll take your word for it.
Please do, yeah, I mean, you can take my word on
Yeah,
this,
sure,
because even
sure.
though I'm not a English professor,
Yeah.
I do know a grammatical mistake when I
Yeah.
see it. So I saw a lot of them.
Yeah, but anyway, other than that, this surely seems like a very
It's a
interesting.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story which tells you a lot about how a country is shaped. Forget about how a
country is
company
shaped.
is shaped.
Four brothers, two wheels,
And a
one
revolution
revolution
that shaped India.
That's beautiful. And on that note, let's end the 11th episode of I Read This Book. See you next time.
I hope you had a nice time. Let us know your thoughts and comments and so on.
Yeah.
We'd love to connect over books, as always.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank
Until
you
next
so
time.
much.